everybody, welcome back to Chelsea Bakes, and today we're going to kick off season 3 with some nice fall recipes. First up, we're really going to do a recipe incorporating one of my favorite fall ingredients, maple syrup. So the past few months I've been traveling a lot for work up to the New England states, and I got kind of inspired by all of the maple syrup everywhere. Why not incorporate this into one of the Chelsea Bakes episodes? So today we're going to make maple sugar cookies. Two of my favorite things, sugar cookies, maple syrup. It's gonna be great. So let's get started. So to make the dough for the cookies, the first thing you're gonna wanna start out with is 3 cups of all-purpose flour. So I already have that started here in the bowl. And then you're gonna wanna add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And you should always make sure that your baking powder is fresh. Whenever you're baking cookies, it helps them from getting too flat or spreading out. My grandma actually taught me that trick. Should do 2 teaspoons of the baking powder. And then we're gonna want to add a half a teaspoon of salt. So not much. Sprinkle it in there. Then we're gonna combine the dry ingredients. So this is actually a pretty relatively easy recipe. Just gonna make it for back to school or a harvest party, even if we're thinking ahead to Thanksgiving. So once you have your dry ingredients mixed, you'll want to set those off to the side. And then next up, you're going to want to kind of combine some brown sugar and butter, lots of butter. So 2 sticks or 1 cup of unsalted butter. So since we already added salt, you'll want to just use unsalted butter. And then 1 cup of firmly packed light brown sugar. And you're gonna want to mix that on a medium speed until it's light and fluffy. So it could probably take a few minutes, and you'll want to make sure to leave your butter out the night before so it softens just to room temperature. You don't want to soften it in the microwave or stovetop. You want it to just be room temperature. So mixing butter and sugar at room temperature can sometimes take a few minutes to get that light and fluffy consistency. So do it on a medium speed. So probably turn into crumbs first before it starts to get smooth and creamy. And I'm just so excited for how this is gonna make the kitchen smell. It's gonna smell like I have a nice maple sugar candle lit. Now you can see it's starting to get a little bit creamier. You can even use a stand mixer, but I prefer to use a hand mixer to make it easier for demonstration purposes. So now when you have it a little bit creamier, then you'll want to add 1 egg, and you'll want to make sure that the egg is room temperature as well. So 1 large egg. And then you're going to want to add the magic ingredient, 1 teaspoon of maple extract. The magic ingredient. And then half a teaspoon of almond extract. And lastly, half a teaspoon of good old vanilla extract. And then you want to combine that with the butter and sugars. And again, you'll want to mix this for about a minute or so until it's pretty creamy. It's already starting to smell like pancakes and maple syrup. So once you have those ingredients combined, then you're going to want to add the dry ingredients, but just 1 cup at a time. So you'll want to combine it pretty slowly. About 1 cup. It doesn't have to be perfect measurements. Last little bit. And then at this point, it's usually best to start combining it a little bit with a spatula. All right, so now you're going to want to combine it with your spatula until you have a nice even dough. This is a little bit thicker because of all the butters and sugars and maple extract. Just want to scrape down the edges of the bowl. start to get a little bit stickier and harder to mix once the flour is getting incorporated. So the next step will be to make the fun leaf shapes, but we have to clean up our workstation a little bit first. All right, so once you have your baking station cleaned up a little bit, then you're going to want to flour a flat surface and roll the dough out into about 1/4 of an inch thick. And then you'll want to use your favorite cookie cutters to cut out some shapes. So today I'm actually going to use a little maple leaf. But I thought pumpkins would actually probably be pretty cute too. So we will go ahead and get a floured surface here. In the meantime, you want to make sure that you have your oven preheating at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Get some of the dough out. We'll move this bowl out of the way so you guys can see. See, we have cute little leaves. And these don't really spread, so you can put them close together, but I would still recommend trying to leave about 1 inch space in between, just so it's easier to take them off the baking sheet when they're done, and also so they bake evenly. And if you use a bigger cookie cutter like I am, you'll probably have to roll your dough out several times. Rolling it out once just won't be enough. Gather that all up and do another roll here. There you have your first batch done. So we're gonna pop these in the oven for about 8 minutes, 7 or 8 minutes, until the edges are slightly golden brown. You don't want them to overbake, so 7 to 8 minutes, just watch them in your oven with the light. So we'll go ahead and pop those in there. And right after this break, we'll get into making a fun little topping for these guys.
Hunger exists in every county in America. More than 1 in 5 children are at risk. Armstrong continues to create awareness in our communities through Breaking Bread, our initiative to provide resources to food pantries and soup kitchens. Here's how to help. Stop by your local Armstrong office and donate non-perishable food items. Attend special Breaking Bread events held in your area, or volunteer at your local food bank. For more information, visit us on Facebook at Armstrong One Wire and click the Breaking Bread tab.
Now that we have our delicious cookies baked, we're going to want to make the maple icing. This is really, really simple, just 2 steps. So you need about a cup of powdered sugar and 3/4 a cup of pure 100% maple syrup. So you want to make sure that it's not the fake stuff. You want to use the real stuff for this. So 100% pure maple syrup, 1/4 a cup. Just add that to your powdered sugar and mix it up. And that's it. It's a really easy icing. Scrape down the sides a little bit. This is just an icing, it's not a frosting, so it probably won't peak or anything like that. So we'll set the mixer aside. And then you can put it in a piping bag just to make it easier to drizzle over the cookies, or you can just ice it straight from the bowl, whatever you prefer. We'll just put a little bit in there for now. And we'll get one of our cookies. You'll want to make sure they're cooled off. And then you can kind of just drizzle the icing, because you're probably going to want to spread it around then with a spatula or a knife. Like I said, this is just an icing, so it's not like the sugar cookie frosting we usually make. Have an even layer of icing, then you want to sprinkle it with some cupcake gems or glitter sprinkles. I used gold to make them very fall-like. And there you have it, our maple sugar cookies. Thank you everybody for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time.